Hit the shower. Grab your coffee. And get ready to attack the weekend with Charlie Uczen and Jack Pembroke as they catch you up on everything Wisconsin sports you may have missed this past week, all before you even finish your breakfast. It's Wisconsin Sports Weekend, live from 12:50 a.m. and 105.7 FM The Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook.
How we doing, folks? How we doing? It is Wisconsin Sports Weekend, live from the 12:50 a.m. and 105.7 FM The Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. I am Charlie Uczen. On the other side of the glass there is not Jack Pembroke. It is Tommy Wortz back on Wisconsin Sports Weekend, filling in for our guy, Jack. He is having a very busy weekend. He may call in here at some point during the show so we can hear all about it. But today I got my guy, Tommy. Like I said, Tommy, how you doing today, my man?
I'm very good, Charles. Very good. Happy Saturday, my friend.
It's a lot of fun. We got a lot of big news coming this Saturday, this weekend. It's Euchre weekend at Miller AmFam Field over there. It made me want to call it the old name just because talking about Euchre. They had a great game last night that we're going to dive into here. Then we're going to get into Packers preseason. They got the Seahawks coming up later today as well. Should be a lot of fun after this week's festivities, I guess you could call it, at Packers practice for some people, seeing all the fights that went down. Then we're going to go into Micah Parsons, who put on a show last night, not on the field for the Cowboys, but kind of on the sideline in the tunnel before the game. A lot of just bad blood going on in Dallas. So that's going to be at 9:40 in place of On the Green. At 10 o'clock, we're going to talk about some college football. That's kind of the biggest news that's happening today is college football's back. I love to see college football back. It's one of my favorite seasons of the year, just seeing all these guys go out there. And week one is going to be a really fun week. So we'll dive into that for you guys at 10:20. As always, we got Mount Pixmore later on in the show. We did pretty good this past weekend. We're going to try to do better this weekend. And at 10:40, we got the Wisconsin Sports Weekend Pub Crawl as usual. I want to head back to that first topic I was on about. The Milwaukee Brewers and Euchre weekend got started off with a bang last night, courtesy of William Contreras.
And only 2 walks per 9. Oh, Contreras! High fly ball, deep left field. Did he get it? Yes, he did! It's a walk-off home run! William Contreras goes wild Bill and sends us home.
There is William Contreras hitting his first career walk-off home run last night versus the San Francisco Giants in a game where Willie Adames in his homecoming tried to spoil it a couple of different times. The first pitch he sees, he sends over the fence, and then later on in the 8th inning hits his second home run of the game in order to draw it a little closer for San Francisco. But William Contreras, as you just heard, comes up huge at the end of the game there. Didn't really need a whole lot. It was a lot of fun. This kind of felt like this game was meant for Bob Euchre, Tommy, with Willie Adames doing what he did, his 2 home runs, seeing him have that type of homecoming. The first home run, it seemed like people weren't too mad about the second home run. Seems like there's a few more groans in the stadium there with that one. And then William Contreras walking it off like that with his first career walk-off home run. I mean, what was the energy, do you think, in that stadium last night if you would have been there?
Yeah, I thought it was awesome. Watching it on TV yesterday, the 9th inning, obviously Lockridge misses the ball in center field. A lot of people upset with that situation, how it went down, but what an awesome way to kick off Euchre weekend, right? Contreras records his first career walk-off homer. It's just his 3rd career walk-off plate appearance now as well. And when this run happened now for Milwaukee, they are 20-5 over their last 25 games now. The Brewers are 81-48. Just like that, the Brewers have locked up a 500 or better record. A lot of people kind of thought that was where this team was at, right? Just above 500 team with the roster they had coming back. And I believe their over-under on win totals this year, Charlie, was 84.5 coming into the season. So now the Brewers have to win one more series, just about to lock that up for their over-under win total on the season. I think that yesterday was just about as perfect as you could have started off a Euchre weekend. Like Willie Adames, everyone was so excited to see him come back. By the end of the game, you were booing him for sure. But I thought to have him have that moment where he hits the homer in the first inning on Euchre weekend is awesome. The homer in the 8th inning, not necessarily everyone rooting for that one, but if it leads to a walk-off from Bill Contreras to start things off, pretty much exactly how you want a weekend to start like that for Milwaukee.
Exactly. And it's not just William Contreras at this point, who's been extremely hot over the past few weeks here. I mean, Bryce Terang has been on fire in this game yesterday. He adds another hit, another walk in that leadoff spot. It's fun to see him at the top of that order. What do you think the dynamic is or changes when you put a Bryce Terang at the top of that lineup since he's been so hot, since he's been this like resurgence of just a newfound player there on the offensive side of things, at least?
Yeah, Bryce Terang has been awesome so far this year. And he's really been on just a tear over his last 30 games right now. He has 37 hits. He's batting .327 over that time. He's a .628 slugging percentage over the last 30 days. If you go and you condense it even more, in the last 15 games, right? He has a .784 slugging percentage in that time too. He's been unreal. I love Bryce Terang. I think personally, he's my favorite player to watch on the team. I think he might be the best player on the team just as far as what embodies Milwaukee baseball this season. I think it's Bryce Terang. He runs really hard around the bases, right? He can steal some bases. He beats things out. He's got elite speed, elite defense, and now he's becoming probably one of the primary power threats in this lineup too, Charlie.
So if he's that good, as you say, well, why is he not getting, I guess, that national love? If we head over to the Shredder list that they do on MLB Network, Brian Kenny's child over there, he loves going through that. Bryce Terang was not named in that top 10. I don't know if that was just an omission by the team over at MLB Network, if that was something that they just weren't really looking at. They feel like there's something they're seeing that we're not seeing. I mean, Bryce Terang has been, like you said, the epitome of Milwaukee Brewer baseball to this point in the season. He's only 25 years old, so he's going to get better, hopefully, as we move on here. This is by far, like, each season that he's played, it's just gotten better. This is his third year at the majors, and it just feels like he's exploded to this point. I feel like some people are giving him that love. Why isn't everybody not giving him that love?
Yeah, I mean, I take it back to the line of where Pat Murphy, when Drew Wagner asked about the credit to the hitting coaches, why aren't hitting coaches getting more credit for Milwaukee? And the line that Mr. Murphy used was, they're looking for credibility, not credit during this time. So you be the judge on this. Leading all second basemen in runs scored is Bryce Terang. He has 78 runs scored. He is third in all of baseball, second baseman in hits with 133. Xavier Edwards has 136. He has the third most doubles of any second baseman in all of baseball right now as well. He's an eighth in baseball in home runs for second baseman right now. He is first with runs driven in baseball with 64 from all second basemen right now. Fourth in batting average. On top of that, his on-base percentage is fourth. His OPS sitting at 731 is currently like 9th, 10th in baseball at this point in all of second basemen. So, 780. I was looking at the wrong list. He's fifth in baseball. Bryce Terang's the top 10 second baseman in baseball. You don't need a list to tell you that. His production is speaking for himself in that this year, and he's been on an absolute tear right now. 286 batting average, 780 OPS. Bryce Terang, I think you could argue he's the best second baseman in baseball, maybe after Ketel Marte, something like that.
Well, and with his defense on top of that, Ketel Marte isn't playing platinum glove defense consistently. I know Bryce Terang hasn't looked exactly like the same defensive player as he has last year. That's still a gold glove player at second base consistently. He may not be a platinum glover this year, but he's a gold glover. I think part of the reason he isn't looking, I guess, as solid is because the defense around him is changing much more than it was last year. I think last year we saw the pitchers changing a lot more. You saw 80 different guys step on that mound for the Brewers, it felt like, at any given point in the season, and the defense was so consistent behind those pitchers that it helped them out a little bit. Now you're seeing guys get hurt on the defensive side of the ball a little bit this year, and I think that affects a guy like Bryce Terang as well, but it shouldn't take away from what he's doing for this team. I would go as far as to say he's been the MVP of this team so far this season. I think you could look at some of the pitchers on this squad, say Quinn Priester has been just a revelation. He's helped out. I don't think that's an MVP. Brandon Woodruff hasn't played a whole season. Freddie Peralta is probably the next best name on that list when you're talking about team MVPs right now. And I don't think he even comes close to what Bryce Terang has done with the consistency that he's had throughout the season. If we head over to the YouTube chat, our guy Eli over there is talking about the Milwaukee Brewers with us. He says the Brewers are incredible, winning a different way each time. Every Brewers player is picking each other up. And then he also adds the MLB just doesn't pay attention to the Brewers just because they're a small market team. I would say the MLB is paying a lot of attention to
it's
the
maybe
Brewers.
The most attention the Brewers have gotten in a long time. I will say that. Traditionally, yes, I agree with Eli on that there is maybe a lot of disrespect that comes towards Milwaukee, or a lack of respect more than disrespect, I guess. But yeah, I think that they have gotten a lot more attention around it because everyone just seems to be confused with how the Brewers keep doing this day in and day out. They are going against metrics. They do everything well except hit home runs. Like, let's just be real. They don't hit the same amount of home runs as any team. And even since the trade deadline, they've been fantastic at hitting home runs near the tops of the league too. I think that what Eli's trying to say is that in years past, Milwaukee, when they are in they are at the top of the NL Central, that is usually not been competitive over these years now. They tend to get overlooked as serious playoff contenders and in contention for a deep playoff run. I think that that's completely opposite this year. I think that Milwaukee does have that faith, and the national media is starting to put a little bit of respect on their name, no matter what Rob Parker might say about them.
Well, and the other big thing that I'm noticing here is that, yes, they're not hitting home runs at the same rate as the other top teams in the MLB. But last season, when they were kind of in a similar spot, when they were leading the NL Central, that was like the biggest storyline is how are they going to win a playoff series if they cannot put a ball over the fence? This year, it's not the same storyline. The storyline is, look at how good this Brewers offense is. Look at how quickly they can run up the score in the matter of a half inning and just find ways to win no matter what. People don't really worry about the home runs as much because you have so much else going for you. Last season, I don't think the contact was 100% there in order to say that the home run ball isn't as important. I think the pitching was just too injured up to that point, and you had too many different guys, again, on the mound for this Milwaukee Brewers team, that it's hard to ignore the elephant in the room that they can't hit home runs. And if you can't hit home runs, you're going to lose in the playoffs, which is what happened. The New York Mets beat them on home runs in that series at the end of that last game.
Yeah.
And I think this year you look at this team and you say, you know what? Yeah, they don't have power, but that pitching staff is as solid as it gets. The defense is one of the best when guys are healthy and on the field in the right positions. And I think the biggest thing is that they can score no matter what. They take advantage of every mistake that all these teams make. And yes, the Brewers are making a few more mistakes themselves as of late here, but that's more just fatigue. They're still taking advantage of those other mistakes as well.
And taking advantages of opportunity in general whenever they arise. You know, last year, the Brewers hit 0 walk-off home runs. They did not hit a single one in 2024. This year, they've hit 4 during this time. Isaac Collins, Caleb Durbin, Christian Yelich, and now William Contreras getting in on that list too. They've also brought in some very key pieces that a lot of people had low expectations for. Quinn Priester being the number 1 on that list. Andrew Vaughn on that list now as well. Both of those guys, new additions that nobody could have predicted would be as hot as they've been. Andrew Vaughn obviously doing it for less time now than Quinn Priester has, but he's probably been the best player on the team since July 7th, too, when he got called up. He's got a 14-game on-base streak rocking right now, going all the way back to that Mets series. And he has reached safely in 34 of the 37 games he has played with the Brewers right now. He's been unreal since coming over from Chicago.
That's just absolutely absurd.
It makes no sense. Makes no sense, Charlie.
Just nuts. I mean, you talk about this Brewers organizational success, and that is just one of the best byproducts of it, is it just feels like they can find anybody and bring them in to be that type of player for this team. It is Wisconsin Sports Weekend, live from the 1250 AM and 105.7 FM, The Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. You can be like Eli and get in on the YouTube chat. It's the Fan Milwaukee on YouTube. Real easy. Just click on our logo up in the top left corner. When you get to our page, it's got a little red circle around it. It means we're live. It means one of our shows is on air, going live at the moment. You can comment on that live stream and we'll read it on air. Our guy Q is going to come in here at some point here. He's our third co-host at this point on the show. Just how much he joins in on it. Love my man Q. Be like Q, be like Eli. Join us there. You can also hit us up at the Fan Milwaukee on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, We'll respond to you on all of those as best as we can. We usually put our questions up there for you guys. We want to know what you thought about this Brewers game last night and how excited you are for this team, seeing moments like that, seeing William Contreras come in clutch, seeing everybody come up clutch at some point this season. Feels like no other team is like that. When we come back, we are going to dive into the Green Bay Packers and the Seattle Seahawks facing off later this afternoon. Should be a fun game, should be the best game out of all the preseason games, and it's not going to have any starters in it probably. So we'll see. We'll have our expectations, and we'll tell you guys what we thought of the preseason so far, and we want to hear what you think about the preseason. It is Wisconsin Sports Weekend, live from the 1250 AM and 105.7 FM, the Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. I'm Charlie Uczen. That's Tommy Wortz over there. We'll be right back. Feel like we got thunder on the show here. All right, it is Wisconsin Sports Weekend, live from the 1250 AM and 105.7 FM, the Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. I'm Charlie Uczen. That is Tommy Wortz on the other side of the glass. You guys missed our first segment on the show here. Do not worry. You can head back on your free Odyssey app, rewind on there. You can also find our podcast after the show on anywhere you can get your podcast. So the Odyssey app, iHeartRadio, anywhere you can find it, we will have it up there for you. We are also live streaming on YouTube currently at the Fan Milwaukee on there. You can head over there. All the live streams are going to be posted on there, and you can also watch us live. Be like our guy Eli, comment in the YouTube chat and let us know your thoughts on what we are talking about today here on Wisconsin Sports Weekend. Last segment, we were talking about the Milwaukee Brewers and William Contreras walking it off for the Crew last night. We wanted to move on to the Green Bay Packers here. They play their final preseason game of the season against the Seattle Seahawks later today. Should be, again, one of the best games of the preseason for this team so far. It's going to be at 3 p.m. This team is probably not expected to play too many of their starters. They have too many injuries at this point. Jordan Love is just starting his kind of rehab process back here from that left thumb surgery that he had. We have a plethora of wide receivers just not on the field, haven't been on the field for a while now. If Jaden Reed and Dontavian Wicks aren't ready to go, I find it highly unlikely we see anybody else of any kind of value on that offense playing in this game, which is a little strange. I want to hop over real quick to the Chicago Bears preseason game from last night, where they played their whole entire first string team for basically the entire first half of that game. Tommy, I want to ask you, do you feel like that was a smart strategy for the Chicago Bears at this point? And do you think the Packers would be a team that, if they weren't as injured at this point, would benefit from a strategy like that?
There you go. All right, perfect. Honestly, Charlie, I don't really think that the Packers would need to go any farther into playing their starters. The team is like what it is right now. It feels like it's pretty much laid out. It's just a lot of depth pieces that they're looking at in this back end game now. I don't think that Jordan Love, I don't understand the benefit of why he would play in game 3. I do think that it was important that he played in game 1. And I think he might have had some action in game 2 if he didn't get banged up as well. But I think that when you're looking at this third game, this should traditionally be a game for all the guys on the back end, right? It should be something where I want to see who's going to be that Bo Melton of this year, where I was talking about him as a wide receiver on the back end, but now it's Bo Melton as a cornerback on the back end, right? I want to know who are these guys that are going to be the rotational pieces for Green Bay. Maybe not the starting foundation, but as far as when someone makes a play who you've never heard their name, you can go back and look at preseason and say, oh yeah, I remember it from that time as well. As far as what Green Bay has to look forward to going into this game, I think that most of it is in the depth, and maybe you're talking about left tackle right now still being up in the air, but it sounds like all the momentum is in favor of Jordan Morgan in that situation anyway right now.
Talking about Jordan Morgan, he's been one of the biggest stories of this preseason, kind of watching his development, seeing where the Packers have been playing him. Rasheed Walker's been out with injury for a little while now and has kind of been working his way back in, but Jordan Morgan has gotten a majority of those snaps. What are your expectations for Jordan Morgan this season?
I had said previously with Mason Crosby and Mitch Thunder Nellis, I just think that you could have wrote him in as Sharpie to be on this offensive line no matter what this season. I don't know where you write him, but it felt like he was going to get every opportunity to be a starting left tackle, starting right guard for the Green Bay Packers this season. And the expectations have to be high at that, because I don't know what Rasheed Walker did to lose that positioning, right? Really, same with Sean Ryan. It was a pretty good offensive line last year for Green Bay. They kept Jordan Love upright after the first game of the season. I believe he was only sacked 14 times last year for Green Bay. Maybe the run blocking wasn't what it wanted to be last year, but Josh Jacobs had a fantastic season. It wasn't the Philadelphia Eagles offensive line by any means, but now it seems like Green Bay is trying to emulate that, right? You bring in a guy like Aaron Banks, you're moving guys like Jordan Morgan, Anthony Belton getting opportunities too. Just a lot of big maulers on the offensive line. I have very high expectations for Jordan Morgan, because if you're going to take Rasheed Walker's job, who I didn't think did a whole lot to lose it last season, you better be significantly better and eye test better when you're watching too.
Exactly. Let us know what you think about Jordan Morgan and what other biggest takeaways you have from Packers training camp so far this season. We want to hear what you think on the Nicolay Law Fan Talk in text line 414-677-1250. Again, that's 414-677-1250, 1250 to reach us on there. You can also hit us up on YouTube at The Fan Milwaukee, on any of our social medias, also at The Fan Milwaukee, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We can respond to you on there. We want to know what have been your biggest takeaways from the offseason for this Green Bay Packers team. When I look at Jordan Morgan, what he's done this preseason, like you said, I think I need him to be phenomenal if he's going to take that Rasheed Walker spot, at least really good. I don't know about him being a league average player or a little above league average player, because that's what you get out of a Rasheed Walker. You don't need a Jordan Morgan to go into there and do that for you. Be different if you were like the Seattle Seahawks, who are constantly looking for a new left tackle at that spot, which it seems like they kind of found one now, but still you are not in that same position. I think the same thing goes for Sean Ryan at right guard. Sean Ryan was an above average player last season. We talked about it on Wisconsin Sports Daily with Steve Sparky Pfeiffer from 2 to 5 during the week here on The Fan. I think that if you're going to put a Jordan Morgan or an Anthony Belton into the starting lineup, it has to be for a pretty big reason that you are sticking one of them in there. I only say that because of the way the Packers operate. I think the reason you don't give an Anthony Belton a top shot this season, the reason that you may not see a Jordan Morgan in a starting offensive line spot this season, is because if they play well earlier on in their career, that means the Packers have to pay more money later on, and they don't want to do that. If you can keep Rasheed Walker for one more year on that starting offensive line and make Jordan Morgan wait one more year, his future contract goes down. No matter if he plays amazing for these next 2 seasons, Jordan Morgan is not going to get paid as much as if he plays 3 whole seasons and is really good for 3 whole seasons. Anthony Belton, if you wanted to put him in over a Sean Ryan, which is something we were talking about on Wisconsin Sports Daily, again, Sean Ryan has 1 more year on his deal right now, and it's not a very expensive deal. Anthony Belton's a rookie. If you let him go out there and start right away, and again, he plays really well right away, then you are going to eventually have to pay him more when you have players that are at least above average there already, and you can let that group gel. I think one of the biggest benefits for this Green Bay Packers offensive line last season was that they only had 1 game where they didn't have their same 5 guys starting. And that 1 game, Elton Jenkins moved over to center and looked pretty bad at center in that game as well. So I think having the consistency on that offensive line, which you've already built up with keeping a Sean Ryan at right guard, Rasheed Walker is healthy, keeping him at left tackle, that's going to be extremely important for the development of the rest of this offense. Because what I'm not seeing from this offense right now is the wide receivers catching balls. They still are dropping balls. I think on that offensive line, you have a lot of young guys getting play, and that's part of the reason this is happening, but you're still having the same penalty issues that you were having last year with that group. Jordan Love is once again not playing 100% healthy. These are a lot of the same problems that we were witnessing last season that kind of worries me a little bit that we're seeing them happen again with the wide receivers, Tommy. We've seen Matthew Golden be absolutely phenomenal to this point, hasn't dropped anything according to our guy Andy Herman, who's on Pack a Day Radio from 8 to 9 here on The Fan during the weekdays. I mean, with him outperforming the rest of the wide receivers to the point he has, do you think that is good or worse news for the Packers overall in that wide receiver room?
I'll be optimistic. I'll say that's good news, right? Because I am a little bit surprised that he has already separated himself in that room, to be honest. I think maybe we all might have had a little bit of a different idea of how this wide receiver room could look and could develop over the years. And it just seems like that's not really happening. And I'm a little disappointed that I think Jaden Reed's role is going to take a significant step back, based on what Matthew Golden's been doing in training camp and how that's lined up. We know that Jaden Reed's been in a boot for a lot of this time during camp as well. And talking about guys like Dontavian Wicks and, similar issues arise and he's injured and banged up. Mecole Hardman has been a very underperforming, it feels like, piece in training camp for Green Bay that they brought in. Not that he was going to be really a lock to make this lineup or roster, but I thought he had a pretty good shot. And it seems like that is dwindling away the more and more he's on the field, whether it is on the offensive side or he's returning kicks and, returning them from the 3-yard line and stopping from there. I think that my favorite thing to watch with the wide receiver room, my favorite thing is the battle for that last spot right now. And it might be the most interesting position battle that we have going on for someone who will be on the roster or won't be on the roster right now, because it's between, in my opinion, it should be between 3 guys. I think it's only between 2. It's probably Malik Heath, Mecole Hardman, but I've been on this rant this whole week of I want Julian Hicks on the Packers. I just think he's good, man. I don't think that he makes it to the practice squad if you don't keep him on the 53-man roster. I think he's going to leave, and I think he's going to become a productive player in the NFL. I like what I've seen out of him. He's made really good contested catches in the preseason action right now, and if it's not that battle, it's got to be the third-string quarterback. I'm a sicko now like Andy Herman, and give me Elgersma. I just don't even care for what Sean Clifford can bring as a third stringer. I think Elgersma's got a little bit more upside. Whatever happens with this game, I think that those are two decisions that you have to be looking out for is who's the number 3 quarterback, who's the number 6 wide receiver, and then, of course, the last linebacker spot as well, too, with Isaiah Simmons, Christian Welch going at it.
I think with that quarterback battle, one thing I've learned with the Green Bay Packers over the past 2 seasons is that Sean Clifford is inevitable. Like, does not matter who is going up against him. I thought Michael Pratt last season had a little bit of a shot to take that role from Sean Clifford. And then Sean Clifford still ended up being the guy on the team, and Tampa Bay immediately went and picked up Michael Pratt after the Packers let him go.
Yeah.
Elgersma has looked really good. I'm really excited for Elgersma. Yesterday, I said he's going to throw for 250 yards in this game. I still believe it, dude. I still am all in.
I think Malik Willis is going to have a long day today. I think he could play a half at this point.
I just think that's crazy. If Jordan Love is already playing with some kind of injury, I know it's a minor injury on his non-throwing hand, is something that we don't need to be worried about. It also tells me that at some point this season, Malik Willis is going to have to play. And I know you want to get him that warm-up in this game, but in the preseason so far, he just hasn't looked as good as I think we've expected him to look based on what we got last season from him. And in a game like this, where I'm not saying the tensions are going to roll over from Thursday, but at the same time, I think this is going to be a little bit more of an aggressive squad from Seattle. They're still going to have players that are fighting for a spot for their roster, and they're going to be hitting guys out here. And the Packers offensive line, especially that second group, hasn't exactly looked all that strong at any given moment during this preseason so far. I think of Malik Willis, you want to keep him as healthy as you want to keep Jordan Love healthy. And I think keeping that tandem together is going to be a big deal. So I think, this is a third quarterback battle. You're going to see at least 3 quarters in my mind of a mix of Elgersma and Clifford out here.
I would say that I think I would tend to agree with you, because I would love to see Malik Willis just get locked up as the backup for Green Bay for as long as possible, right? Go give him that Tyson Bagent deal of 2 years, $10 million, right? I would be all in on that. But I think Malik Willis might have other plans. I think his agent might have other plans. And I think they're trying to get a starting job next year somewhere, or at least be in a competition next year for a starting job. I think that Malik Willis would be the starting quarterback for, a handful of teams if he was out there. Like, you're telling me he wouldn't be the starting quarterback for the New Orleans Saints right now?
Probably.
I think he would be the starting quarterback if he wanted to go out
be in
there.
The competition for sure.
Yeah, and I think that they're going to let him showcase that, and they're going to let him be that guy, because this is his last opportunity to do that before the season starts, where he might not get as much action.
I think the only thing with that in my mind is that Malik Willis, yes, could go and be the starting quarterback of the New Orleans Saints right now. But I think what we're seeing through the draft, through college football, a lot of guys just kind of come into the league as kind of quarterbacks that are pro-ready at this point. I think we're seeing a Shedeur Sanders and a Dylan Gabriel fight off in Cleveland. And chances are one of those guys isn't going to be on Cleveland in the next 2 years, but those are both players that I think other teams would give a shot at some point here. I think we're going to start seeing a big influx of young quarterbacks make that jump to the NFL here, especially if they're not going to make enough money at college like they think they will.
Sure.
I think we're going to start seeing the college teams pull back on how much money they're giving some of these players. New regulations come out. And we're going to see this kind of new wave of quarterbacks come into the NFL, because I think right now we're kind of in that gap point where you're seeing a lot of those older generation quarterbacks leave. Aaron Rodgers and the Phillip Rivers and all these other guys that had tried to play as long as possible. Now it's getting to the end of the career. And you got a very small group of, I think, really true star quarterbacks right now. I think that's going to jump up. And with that, the number of quarterbacks getting shots in the NFL is going to jump up, which I think for a guy like Malik Willis, when you compare him to other players in that same kind of group and bracket as him, you have Kenny Pickett's, you have a go over to some of these other teams across the league.
Yeah.
And you have Spencer Rattler, who are going to get forgotten about. And Malik Willis is kind of in that group in my mind.
I think that's fair. But Malik Willis has really had a resurgence. He has had, that last season was the best case scenario you could have had for Malik Willis. Really. He gets his opportunities. He capitalizes on the 2.5 games that he does play. And, like looking at an argument like Anthony Richardson just lost his job in Indianapolis. Malik Willis was way worse than Anthony Richardson was when Malik was in Tennessee. I mean, it was like he didn't belong in the NFL, and now he has an opportunity to go out, showcase it in this last game. I don't think he'll be traded or anything along those lines. I think Green Bay wants that safety net of a Malik Willis who knows the system, has been with the team now for over a year. You remember last year, he had to find some action like 2 weeks after he got back with the team, and then ends up starting with less than a month of experience and has a phenomenal game manager-esque game where Matt LaFleur was able to really cook up a lot and showcase his offensive brain with a guy like Malik Willis at the helm.
Definitely. It's something that was extremely impressive, but also if Malik Willis, in my mind, was going to get that shot, then I don't think he would be the backup quarterback for the Packers still. If a lot of teams believed in him as much as we do, as much as the Packers do, I think it would be pretty easy to shoot a 5th-round pick over to the Green Bay Packers for a guy like Malik Willis, and the Packers would probably take it.
I don't know if they do for a 5th rounder. I think that luxury of having the backup quarterback that's got some competency is huge. And obviously he's got to have some sort of relationship with Jordan Love. That's probably beneficial during that time. Have you seen the memes of the 3 amigos with the New York Giants quarterback staff? Like, that actually just looks like the most healthy relationship quarterback room I have ever seen in my life between Jackson Dart, Jameis Winston, and Tommy DeVito. Like, they don't even have Russ in this 3 amigos, and he's going to be one of the quarterbacks. But all the backups even kind of getting along and working things out and helping Russ, right? I mean, that's your job as well, is to really be eyes and ears for those guys, whether it's on an iPad or a clipboard, however it is. And I think Malik Willis does an elite job at that as well.
That's Tommy DeVito's going to get cut from that team, isn't he? That's so sad.
Oh, yeah.
That's so sad. He deserves better.
He's gone. He's gone.
Let's head over to the Nicolay Law Fan Talk and Text line 446771250, where we have special guest over in Leprechaun Land, as Tommy put it on there. Our guy Jack Pembroke, normal co-host of Wisconsin Sports Weekend, calling in on the Nicolay Law Fan Talk and Text line. Jack, how you doing, my man?
Forced pickleball with Irish people right now, but it's fun. I'm enjoying the conversation. I think this is important to lock in on, can quarterbacks be developed, especially with now how much they're getting paid in college and jumping around to different places. You're not really going to see guys be ready to go right away, I think, in the scheme of things in the NFL. And I think Tommy makes a good point. I would not want to get rid of Malik Willis for a 5th or a 4th-round pick, because I think it really is important to have that guy who knows your system. And the NFL now it's very subjective. You got to get it in the right coaching system. You got to get with people that want to develop you. And we just don't live in that world. We think Anthony Richardson's and all these other guys should be ready by week 1, of their first year in the pros.
Do you play pickleball with potato in Ireland? Is it any different over there?
This is like my 3rd time playing pickleball, but no, there's definitely, I'm sure you could get some divots out of that potato and put some holes in there. Good aerodynamic potato.
Right. Yeah, I agree, Jack. I just think that Malik Willis is going to be a piece that Green Bay doesn't get involved by any means, but wants to be involved, if that makes sense. They want him to be a part of those conversations with Jordan Love. They want him to be a part of that quarterback room, and they want that luxury. I mean, look at what Matt Flynn did with Green Bay for all those years, right? Like, he was a luxury to have someone in the system that, if something hits the fan, like, you can go and be relying on a guy that you think knows this offense.
Is he still tied for like either Packer yardage or touchdowns in the game?
He is. I believe.
That was an epic game.
That was an epic game. I mean, what more could you ask for a Week 17 game against the Lions? I'll never forget the shootout between Matt Stafford and Matt Flynn, man.
Yeah, I miss Jordy Nelson too.
Jack, have a good time playing pickleball. Bring home a pickleball trophy. You too, buddy. I'll talk to you later.
Later,
bye.
Jack.
All right, there he is, Jack Pembroke, co-host of Wisconsin Sports Weekend normally. Today, I got my guy, Tommy Wortz, on the other side of the glass there. I am Charlie Uczen. Let us know on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, at The Fan Milwaukee. Also on YouTube, live streaming right now, at The Fan Milwaukee. What have been your biggest takeaways from the Packers off season so far? We want to know. Hit us up like Jack on the Nicolay Law Fan Talk and Text line 414-677-1250. Again, that's 414-677-1250, 1250 to get in on the show with us here.
Let us know how to spell leprechaun too, because I definitely spelled that wrong. But Charlie got it done. Yeah, I didn't look it up, so I just wanted to see if we would get we would get close enough, and I got close enough, I guess.
There you go. I have fat fingers, so I got used to like reading things if they're spelled wrong or the wrong way, like in text messages.
I was on a keyboard, so hopefully it wasn't like 2 obese fingers, but like, yeah, leprechaun, there's an H in there somewhere, and there's a U, and that's all I got. That's all I got from it.
If you guys didn't get enough of Tommy Wortz today, he'll be on for the rest of Wisconsin Sports Weekend, but he will be on later today as well as the Crew takes down San Francisco on a Wild Bill first career walk-off home run last night, despite Willie Adames doing his best to play spoiler in his homecoming. Tommy will be on at 5 o'clock tonight for the leadoff show powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. He runs through the lineups, gives you guys sound from last night's game, lets you know everything that you could possibly need to know before the Milwaukee Brewers play Game 2 against San Francisco later today. Again, that is the leadoff show at 5 tonight, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. When we come back, we're going to stick with the Green Bay Packers, but more about what trades could possibly be coming for this team, especially in regards to a player that seems pretty disgruntled based on his performance last night on the sideline for the Dallas Cowboys. It is Wisconsin Sports Weekend live from the 1250 AM and 105.7 FM The Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. I'm Charlie Uczen. That's Tommy Wortz on the other side of the glass. We will be right back. How we doing, folks? How we doing? It is Wisconsin Sports Weekend live from the 12:50 a.m. and 105.7 FM, the Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. I'm Charlie Uczen. That is Tommy Wortz on the other side of the glass there. If you guys missed the first couple segments of our show, you can head back on your free Odyssey app, rewind the show on there. Give us your opinion on the Milwaukee Brewers walk-off win last night behind William Contreras' home run, his first career walk-off home run. Or in the second segment, where we talked about our biggest takeaways from the offseason for the Green Bay Packers as we get prepared for their final preseason game at 3 o'clock today against the Seattle Seahawks. We wanted to stick with the Green Bay Packers here. Micah Parsons, I don't know if you guys have heard about him. He is a pretty damn good football player down there in Dallas. He's an edge rusher, can play like basically every position on the field. A younger, better version of Khalil Mack, honestly, it feels like sometimes. But he is currently, I guess, not officially on the trade block by the Dallas Cowboys, but the way that Jerry Jones talks about this, the way that Micah Parsons talks about this, is it seems like there is a divorce coming between the two sides down there in Dallas. With Micah Parsons potentially being available for almost any NFL team, it feels like there should be 31 offers on the board for this player and the player of this caliber. And the Green Bay Packers, from multiple rumors from fake people, real people, apparently have been in on this whole kind of sweepstakes for a guy like Micah Parsons. That leads us to ask you, what do you think the odds are that the Packers could offer the best package in the NFL for a player like Micah Parsons? We want to know what you think that package could be, and if the Packers would even bother offering that from other players like Trey Hendrickson, Myles Garrett that have reportedly been on the trade block. The Packers haven't been willing to throw up too much. Now, Micah Parsons is younger than a Myles Garrett and a Trey Hendrickson. He is arguably a better player than Trey Hendrickson and Myles Garrett, which is pretty crazy since both those players are pretty insane. Tommy, I'll start with you over there. First of all, how much are you buying into these rumors that the Packers are even in on a guy like Micah Parsons at this point?
I think that I can buy in on the rumors that the Packers would make a phone call during this situation. I think they know that there is some pressure to at least make a phone call on the situation, and maybe that's all it was. Hey, what's going on with Micah? Hey, he's not available. Okay, cool. Phone's over right there. But right now, I think that Micah Parsons is making things extremely interesting. And Jerry Jones as well just keeps digging his grave, it feels like, at this point on the Micah Parsons situation. Now the agent of Micah Parsons, basically, David Malgetta, is that how you pronounce his last name, right?
Yep.
He came out and said, like, I never told Jerry Jones to shove it up his you-know-what during this, and Jerry going on Michael Irvin's podcast on YouTube, just making all these ridiculous claims about it. And it's not helping the relationship at all. But the ball is really in Dallas's court, and they have way more time than people realize, right? They got 2 more years of a franchise tag they can deal with, plus this season if they want to with Micah Parsons. I don't think they have much pressure at all to get a trade done, even if Micah is unhappy. If he does say he will hold out, maybe they do, but I can't imagine he's going to do that and hurt that in any way. I think that Green Bay has a very serious argument as to why they could trade for him with their cap space situation. I know it really takes a tank after this season on what Green Bay can afford, but
it jumps right back up in 2 years.
Yeah, exactly. So they're going to have to get a deal done, and they're going to have to make him the highest paid player that's not playing quarterback in NFL history, which does, I guess, bring more hesitancy to how serious it can be for Green Bay. But, I mean, it's fun to think right now about this guy and the potential he could be in green and gold.
If you look at the rest of the NFC North, I think all these other 3 teams, the Lions have an Aiden Hutchinson, the Vikings have a Jonathan Grenard, and the Bears have a Montez Sweat. All 3 of those teams, besides maybe the Vikings, if Dallas Turner can work out as well as they think he could, don't have a second edge rusher to pair alongside their star edge rushers as well. I think all 3 of those teams would be top candidates to at least put an offer on the table. Do you feel like compared to those 3 teams, if the Packers were to say, yes, we are all in on trying to make this happen, we know it's going to cost a lot, we know it's going to take a lot from our side of things, but we are all in. Do you think they just have the pieces to offer a better package than any of those other 3 teams?
No, maybe. I don't think so. But then you got to sweeten it up even more, right? As far as draft capital goes, no, Green Bay will not have the best package to offer for Micah Parsons. Now, how available is anyone else to swap, right? I mean, would you not totally throw Rashawn Gary in a trade deal to get
100%.
Micah Parsons over
Easy.
here?
Bye-bye.
It's not even a question, right? I don't think that's what Dallas is looking for. But as far as a player that wouldn't be expendable in this deal, it's Jordan Love, it's Josh Jacobs, it's Xavier McKinney, and then after that, I'll hear a conversation, right? I'm not going to decline any offers that have anyone else involved without looking at the full offer. Micah Parsons is a game changer. He's a top 5 edge rusher in the NFL right now. And I think that he immediately elevates Green Bay into serious contention, playoff runs, you name it. He's a game wrecker, man.
What do you think the odds are that the Packers could offer the best package in the NFL for Micah Parsons? Let us know on the Nicolay Law Fan Talk and Text line 414-677-1250. Again, this is 414-677-1250-1250. And also hit us up at the Fan Milwaukee on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and on YouTube, where you can comment in the comment section on there while we are live streaming any of our great shows right here on the Fan. I think when I look at what the Green Bay Packers could potentially offer, I would argue that Josh Jacobs isn't untouchable in my mind. He's a running back nearing 30 at this point. If the Dallas Cowboys are a team that values their running backs, which we know they are, they love their Ezekiel Elliott's, I think that's a guy that would be worth more to a team like the Dallas Cowboys than some other teams around the league. I would also say that there's other players that are pretty expendable that I think a lot of people would say aren't. If you're going to make a trade for a guy like Micah Parsons, like Jaron Cooper would probably be on the trade block in my mind if it meant Micah Parsons. That way you can keep, maybe a Josh Jacobs. Evan Williams could potentially be on the trade block in my mind if you were to go and make a move for a player that big. And again, picks would be the obvious top thing in this whole entire thing. But I think that if you want to make this trade happen, if you want to find a way to beat out some of these other teams like the Chicago Bears, who do have deep value in young players in other positions on that team, or the Vikings, who are kind of in the same boat, like a Dallas Turner would be awesome for a team like Dallas to pick up if they wanted that, because he's just going to be expendable at that point. The Lions have other young players that I think they'd be willing to move if it meant bringing in a Micah Parsons. It would just mean that the Packers would also have to be willing to move some of those young pieces that are on their team as well, which I think would be hard for a lot of people to deal with if they were to move an Jaron Cooper and Evan Williams at that point, just because they are so beneficial to this defense for this team. At the same time, if you want to make a package, you have to make it competitive compared to what the other teams are offering. And if the Packers were to be all in, which again, like you were saying, I don't think they ever are going to be all in on this, which is a little unfortunate. At the same time, if Micah Parsons says something about wanting to come to Green Bay, what do you think would be like a discounted package that the Packers could steal?
Gosh, I don't know if discount is going to happen with this Micah Parsons deal at all, but I do think we can see Micah Parsons coming over for, it's got to start with 2 first-round picks, right? I mean, There's no way that it doesn't start with 2 first-round picks, and I think that if anyone heard Green Bay, can you trade 3 years down the road? I don't even know if you can in the NFL give up 3 first-round picks for it. But if Green Bay gave up their, first-round pick for the next 2 seasons, a second-round pick in one of those years, and a third-round pick in one of those years, I don't think people would really bat an eye. They might think it's a lot to give up for it, but at least you're going after your guy and putting an all-in move. And I know you guys were having the conversation on Wisconsin Sports Daily, really, that it doesn't feel like there's a lot of pressure on Green Bay to make this deal for Micah Parsons, because a lot of fans are just succumbing to the idea that Green Bay does not make trades. They do not make splash trades. And I think that's not a great approach to have for it either. Like, oh, we never do this. Well, why not? Because it has not worked in years before now without doing it. So maybe try to do something different.
I think when you compare a team like the Milwaukee Brewers to this Green Bay Packers team, yes, I think it is a little frustrating that they don't go and make those trades and they're not going for it. But the difference between those two organizations is that the Packers have won this way before. Mm-hmm. They've won by building up their organization.
Not really recently anymore,
Not recently, but in history they have. And with the last quarterback they have, it's recent enough that people remember it. And I think that's kind of where people give them a little bit more leeway than a team like the Milwaukee Brewers, where the most recent World Series appearance that they have is 1982, before me and you were even thoughts in our parents' minds at that point. And I think that is the issue here, is that we've seen a Green Bay Packers Super Bowl. We've seen them do it this way. And we know that in a NFC where it's pretty wide open besides the Philadelphia Eagles, that this Packers team could take a big jump and could just make some magic happen doing what they're doing. The Milwaukee Brewers, we don't have that history. We don't have that resume behind them. They've gotten close. 2018, they made it to the NLCS doing it this way and doing it the way that they're doing right now. But if they win and won a World Series this year, nobody would care for another 20 years about whether or not they're doing it the right way or not, just like the Green Bay Packers at this point.
Yeah, I would like to have the Packers be held to a higher standard. I just think and I'm not saying that they should be winning the Super Bowl every year. That doesn't happen in the NFL. You can't all have a Kansas City Chief run like you have with a generational-esque talent in Patrick Mahomes. But I mean, if you're going to be about we want to win a Super Bowl every year, you got to take actions that do that as well. And I think being more serious and getting a player that's an established player, not through the draft and develop process like Green Bay has been trying to use for many years now. Like, you went out, you signed Xavier McKinney. You went out, you signed Josh Jacobs. They might have been the two most impactful players on your team last year. This is not a team that you drafted. This is two guys now that you think have really changed the game because you decided to make a move that you wouldn't have the opportunity to in years past.
I would also argue that going out and getting a running back and a safety last season were two of the most discounted positions in the NFL at that point. I think both those positions have been extremely undervalued for the past 5 seasons at least, and that teams aren't paying those players, and that the Packers honestly got both those players for a steal, and that other teams were just not giving them offers that they deserved. I think if teams were really valuing those players the way the Packers valued those players, they would not be Green Bay Packers at this point, if I'm being completely honest. And I think that if the play that's showing on the field for these guys matched their contract, then they'd get paid, be getting paid about $5 million more each, honestly.
Maybe, yeah.
They're that important to this Packers success. And I think the Packers went out and made some really smart moves. That's why Brian Gutekunst deserves a lot more credit than I think people give him the credit for. And those moves, yes, they're impact players who have both been star players for respective teams in the past. We're not getting that respect from other teams in free agency, and the Packers just gave them that respect. I wouldn't say that was going out and going for it. It was that the opportunity was there, and the Packers just decided, you know what, let's take it.
We'll see. We'll see what happens, Charles. We'll see what happens.
All right. It is Wisconsin Sports Weekend live from the 1250 AM and 105.7 FM, the Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. I'm Charlie Uczen. That's Tommy Wortz on the other side of the glass there. When we come back, the second hour of Wisconsin Sports Weekend will get underway. We're going to talk about college football, Mount Pixmar, and to finish off the show, the Wisconsin Sports Weekend pub crawl. If you want to get on the show, it's 414-677-1250. Again, 414-677-1250, 1250 to get on the Nicolay Law Fan Talk and Text line. And you can hit us up at the Fan Milwaukee on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. We will be right back.
Hit the shower. Grab your coffee. And get ready to attack the weekend with Charlie Uczen and Jack Pembroke as they catch you up on everything Wisconsin sports you may have missed this past week, all before you even finish your breakfast. It's Wisconsin Sports Weekend, live from 12:50 a.m. and 105.7 FM The Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook.
How we doing, folks? How we doing? I am Charlie Uczen. On the other side of the glass there is not Jack Pembroke, but it is Tommy Wortz. If you guys are just tuning in, you missed the first hour of Wisconsin Sports Weekend. Do not worry. It is going to be up on your free Odyssey app. You can rewind the episode on there, catch up on anything you missed in the first hour. We talked about the Brewers beating the Giants last night on William Contreras' first career walk-off home run. We talked about the Packers taking on the Seahawks this afternoon, and what have been your biggest takeaways from the offseason so far for this Packers team. And then the last segment, we talked about Micah Parsons and some of his antics happening over the past couple of weeks that's leading to a divorce between him and the Cowboys potentially here, and what the Packers could put on the table in order to bring in a player like that. Again, you can go back in your free Odyssey app, rewind on there, or you can go on YouTube where we are live streaming Rewind on there as well. Also comment with us like our guy Eli has been doing all show, or like some of the other fans that just pop in and out. You can be like that, stopping for a segment. Help us out a little bit. Help talk with us. We love hearing from you guys. You can also hit us up on the Nicolay Law Fan Talk text line, 414-677-1250. Again, that's 414-677-1250. All right, coming up this hour at 10:20, we got Mount Pixmore as always in the next segment. We did pretty good this week. We went 3 for 4 with one short miss there, but that is all right. We'll try to continue the quest for 4, as our guy Jack Pembroke likes to call it, in the next segment. And then at 10:40, we'll have the Wisconsin Sports Weekend pub crawl as always to close off the show. But before then, this is one of my favorite seasons of like any time during the year. I love watching college football, especially the first couple of weeks where it feels like the biggest upsets can happen no matter what. We got a pretty loaded first week of the college football season, but before we dive into that, I want to dive into the Wisconsin Badgers a little bit, Tommy Wortz. I know you love the Wisconsin Badgers so much, even if it's a love-hate relationship at this point. What are your expectations for this team just right off the bat for the season?
Like bedrock, the lowest of the low right now. You could tell me the Badgers win one football game this year and it would not surprise me. I seriously am that is where my expectations are right now. Some betting odds, unfortunately not courtesy of the Potawatomi Sportsbook. You can't bet on your home college football state in Wisconsin. I just don't know how they get to 5.5. Like the over-under is at 5.5. I can't see them getting to 6 this year. I think they are extremely weak. I feel like the quarterback position has been downgraded. Luke Fickell, I have zero faith in. Jeff Grimes, like he's kind of where everything lies right now. It feels like he is the guy that we have to have some hope in, because the offense the last 2 seasons, just atrocious from Wisconsin. Countless times you saw the Badgers in games because of their defensive performance, and luckily that seems like it has been pretty close to consistent with Wisconsin during this stretch now. But Badger football, I mean, maybe the hardest schedule in the country this year, Charlie.
Probably. You have 6 ranked games just right off the bat.
Yeah.
You got Alabama in week 3. You got Michigan in week 5. You got Ohio State in week 7. Oregon then right after Ohio State in week 8. And then skip a week, you got Washington. Then you got Indiana in week 10. And then Illinois in week 12. Not to mention, you still have a full Big Ten schedule in between that. So you got Maryland, who's usually a team that fights pretty hard against. Iowa could potentially end up being a ranked team. Like they usually end up in that spot.
We were in the same building for the Iowa game last year, if you remember that. And that was just a whole weird night in itself. And then the Badgers on top of it just absolutely pooped the bed. It was terrible. I have no faith. I don't know why you would have any faith right now in these Badgers. And I love the Badgers. I seriously will watch every single game so attentively with so much passion. And I'm just going to be sad at the end of it. I'm preparing for my Saturdays to always ruin my vibe now this year.
So Billy Edwards, the transfer quarterback from Maryland, the team that we were just talking about, is set to be the starter for this Wisconsin Badgers team. What are your expectations for now the 3rd straight transfer quarterback coming in to be the starter for the squad?
Oh gosh. Did you see the team photo going around, Charlie? Like, did you see what Billy Edwards was just squished in that team photo?
Yeah.
Like, it's what a stupid logic to have to like bring any sort of take on the radio with, but like that's not a starting quarterback in the end. Like, it's just he looks scared, he looks timid, and I don't have a lot to go off of with his Maryland performances, obviously, either, but the expectation at quarterback is now also plummeted for me with how Wisconsin's handled the situation the last 2 seasons, right? Tanner Mordecai and Tyler Van Dyke, and then both ending up with seasons of Braden Locke. So I think that Wisconsin, the over-under at 5.5 games is the easiest bet of an under on win totals right now, maybe in the country, and they better hope that they don't get upset one of the first 2 weeks.
Yeah, that would just be...
It'll destroy everything. Yeah.
Like, honestly, I think that may make me not want to watch the games at that point.
I watched, I was in, the last time I went to the game last year, was it Buffalo? No, Buffalo was 2 years ago. I forget the first game of the season last year for Wisconsin. And like the entire time, just looking so sloppy, coming out so flat early on in the year. And they needed to send a message to taking on an unranked like
Western Michigan.
Yeah, it was Western Michigan. Yet like there's no reason. Was it 28-14?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Zero excuse for not pounding Western Michigan, Wisconsin. This is so ridiculous that they kind of buy into this era of college football, but really don't put a whole ton of effort into this era of college football. If you want to be like Clemson and you want to say, hey, we are not going to the portal, we are going to build our guys our way. We have a foundation. We have a culture we're going to go in with, and we're going to anti this era of college football. At least you can respect that and say, the Shaka Smart approach to all of this, where you are not going to buy in and not going to go all in on the NIL era of college sports. And it proved successful for Clemson, and Clemson is coming in as the preseason number 4 in the country right now.
Just absolutely insane.
The Badgers, on the other hand, decide, should we go out and get the best players to come in transfer, or should we just say, hey, these might be better than guys who are going to leave our program this year? Instead, they are worried about suing every single player that leaves in the transfer portal for other reasons right now. And I just don't even know how can you find 6 wins on this schedule this year? I don't know how you find 6 wins.
I don't. I look at the schedule and I see just disappointment. I also see a season that could probably be more catastrophic than just getting 4 or 5 wins. It could be worse than that.
I agree. I really think 3 wins is on the table. I do. I think they could win 1 game, and it would not surprise me in the conference.
What does 3 wins mean for Luke Fickell?
Oh, he's gone. I mean, 3 you're gone. 3 is... Now say that sentence out loud. Could you see Luke Fickell being fired this year?
Yeah.
Easily.
Yeah,
easily. So now that is 3 wins, right? 4 wins probably does the job too. 5, they might hang on to him for a little bit, which I don't know why they would. But I would say that 3 wins guarantee, 4 wins or less will guarantee a firing from Luke Fickell. 5 will keep him on the bubble because they'll make some argument that, well, now it's his guys coming in, even though they all transfer out anytime he recruits them anyway.
Right. If we take a look at the rest of the Big Ten here, Ohio State wins the national championship last year.
Yeah.
Do you see the national champion coming out of the Big Ten once again this year?
I do, actually. I think that's a good question because if I get the entire Big Ten, I love my odds because I think Penn State's the best team in the country. Okay. I do think that James Franklin is terrible at beating teams that are better than him. I just don't think there are any teams better than him this year. He does a really good job at beating teams that are not better than him. He doesn't end up pulling any upsets or any big wins over teams that are ranked higher than him, it feels like. I do think that they got Drew Aller coming back. That's one of the top quarterbacks in the country. You got Nick Singleton, who's one of the best running backs in the country as well, plus a really awesome defense for Penn State. I think if I get to pick the entire Big Ten and I get to land amongst the stars of Ohio State and Oregon as well, I think those 2 programs are near the tops now in the national college, in the national rankings of college football. As far as like SEC opponents go, they're always going to be competitive. Texas, Georgia, Alabama, you name it there. I think those guys can make things interesting, but if you're going to say pick a conference where the national championship will come out of, I do believe it's the Big Ten.
Yeah, I think if you look at where the Big Ten teams are ranked in the poll right now, you got number 2 Penn State, number 3 Ohio State. You jump down a little bit, you got number 7 Oregon, jump down a little bit more, number 12 Illinois, number 14 Michigan, number 20 Indiana, and then that will do it for the Big Ten. I think that's a pretty good sample size of one of those teams being able to make some kind of push here. The one thing that I guess worries me a little bit, I think outside of number 1 Texas, number 2 Penn State, number 3 Ohio State, number 4 Clemson are both kind of a little closer to this edge for me. But 5 down, Georgia, and everybody else down from there, I just don't really know what to expect from all those teams, if I'm being completely honest. This feels like one of the most open years in college football going into the season that I've witnessed in a while now.
Yeah. And I think that is one of the benefits as a college football fan with the NIL and transfer era is that there is a lot of variety. And the other team that you really have to watch out for this year that I think is just going to be an extremely interesting team to study is the Texas Tech Red Raiders. And that is because Texas Tech has now taken this approach in all of their athletics on just being the most ludicrous NIL offers to the transfer portal that you've seen. They brought it in with their softball program this last year.
Kennedy, yeah.
Yes, and she got paid $1 million to go pitch for Texas Tech this year, which who does that for collegiate softball? But it ended up working out, and they made a run all the way to the Women's College World Series. And that was the first time they ever made that playoff, and they ended up making it to the final. They did fall in the final, but it puts them on the map. Texas Tech has the number 1 transfer portal class in the country. Any other school, you name it, Texas Tech is above them. They are going to really rely on, well, why even recruit? It's the Pitino approach of college athletics. Now, it's not going to recruit freshmen. I'm going to recruit guys that have played at the collegiate level and take all these bounce backs from Texas and Baylor and Houston, wherever they are. There's so many popular and talented schools in Texas, SMU, another one, right? That Texas Tech is going to use their oil money and try to make something happen out of the portal. I think they're a really interesting team to watch this year because that's going to be another way to look at something when you're recruiting in college athletics. And I think they come in at like 23rd on the year right now, Texas Tech. So their over-under win total at 8.5. I think that's a seriously interesting team to watch this year in college football.
Yeah, they could be a lot of fun. I think that's an organization or a program that in the past has been able to kind of operate in this fashion where you go out and I think, yes, it was more of recruiting. I think everybody kind of knows that there was some money floating around somewhere during college football at any given time.
No, Charlie.
But getting a guy like Michael Crabtree to come to Texas Tech when he did and having that air raid offense and just kind of playing this fun style of football is another way of getting, again, these transfer portal guys who want an opportunity to have that moment where they can just go off for a little bit. It belongs in Texas Tech. That's where it's always been, and it's kind of been the history of that team. And I think that now you have the money out in the open. It's a lot easier to convince those guys, even with a different style offense, even with a whole new coaching staff and all of that. It's still a destination where it feels like you could go there and just pop off no matter what, no matter who you are.
Yeah, I also think Michigan's going to be a fun watch too this year, or at least just pay attention to because they got Bryce Underwood starting at quarterback this year. They're going to have a guy who just turned 18 like 2 weeks ago. I mean, seriously, like 2 weeks ago. It was his 18th birthday. He's going to be starting at the University of Michigan. I think that could lead them to be underwhelming this year, underperforming. I think their ranking is a little high. I know the rest of their team, very talented, but you have the year of all these penalties coming towards them and fines and drama. And I think that an 18-year-old quarterback at the helm of that kind of worries me on what he can do. We know how good Dylan Raiola was, but Nebraska is also not a top 20 team in the country doing what he did. He's exciting. He's a great player to watch. But I think that things could shake up Michigan and they could not be as successful as some people are looking out for them just because of that youth and inexperience at the quarterback position. I understand he was the number 1 recruit in the country. I still just don't think that it's that easy to make that jump from playing high school football to now you are starting for a Power 5 Big Ten university.
playing high school football and going to one of the worst D3 universities in the country was a huge wake-up call on its own there. It was just a completely different game of football, even at that level. So going the exact opposite way and going to the University of Michigan, playing in the Big House, that's going to be a huge culture shock for a player like that. When seeing this and Dylan Raiola last year, those young players getting that type of start, do you think that's something that we're going to start seeing more often with the age of NIL? And is that something that the Badgers are ever going to do?
Oh, gosh. I mean, I don't know what more do I have to tell you that the expectations I have for the Wisconsin Badgers are basically like you could be frying McDonald's French fries and then the next day be the starting quarterback for the Wisconsin Badgers. That's how I feel about Wisconsin going into this season. But I don't know. I think that, that's a very big ask to say that more 18-year-olds are going to start in college athletics. Maybe they're going to find themselves in some contract situations that'll get their hands tied where maybe we see guys go to smaller universities because they have that situation happen where, hey, Penn State is not going to let an 18-year-old start at quarterback, but why not, Temple, right?
Houston, yeah.
Something along those lines, somewhere that has some money, some small private school like a Duke, right? I mean, you got the money there in these universities.
BYU's paying all their players $1 billion,
right,
it feels like.
Right. Same thing where it's like if you have these universities that are kind of like big school adjacent, schools you've heard of, but not necessarily football powerhouses, maybe I see it in that situation. But as far as Michigan rocking it with an 18-year-old quarterback, like that seems like a rarity in college football.
Definitely. All right, before we take a quick break here, Tommy, real quick, I want to ask you, what are 1 to 2 games that you are most excited for in this first week of college football here?
LSU Clemson, number 1 on this list. Easy. I think that if anyone is actually going to throw a wrench into the Big Ten winning a national championship, I think Clemson is very interesting this year. They have an unreal defense. They're bringing back Cade Klubnik, who's going to be a Heisman favorite all throughout the season, probably one of the best quarterbacks in the country. And they're sitting at a 9.5 win total right now that I think the over should be easy for them. Really, it is. And I know they got to open up with LSU, number 9 team in the country. But then they play Troy, Georgia Tech, Syracuse, UNC, Boston College, SMU. That'll be an interesting one, right? Duke, Florida State, Louisville, Furman on November 22nd. And then they end things with South Carolina, another ranked team as well. But if they handle business against LSU, which they have a great quarterback as well, that's the best quarterback battle we're going to watch in Garrett Nussmeier versus Cade Klubnik in week 1. That's the game, August 30th. So we're a week from that game still. And then even let's just say today, right? I mean, it's Kansas State, Iowa State, like it's Battle for Farms or whatever it's called. I can't remember, but I pretty much, yeah. I mean, it's like adjacent to that name as well. That'll be just fun just to see like what happens in the first game, right? And they're over in Ireland. That'll be a fun game to keep an eye on. That game literally starts we're like 40 minutes away from college football starting, Charlie.
I know, it's just crazy. This is so much fun. I'm so excited. You go down again next Saturday to keep the first kind of week going. You got Texas, Ohio State. Obviously 1 versus 3 is going to be a huge matchup that everybody's going to have their eyes on. But a game that like I'm a little bit more interested in that is 2 unranked opponents. It's Auburn versus Baylor. I think that's going to end up being a really good game. And I think one of those teams, from what I've heard and seen from both of those programs, could probably sneak their way into the top 25 at some point this season. I think that's going to be a good like jumping point for one of those 2 squads to try to make that jump there.
Yeah, that will be awesome as well. I'm looking ahead now, trying to find some more. Wisconsin favored by 17.5 over Miami of Ohio, and the over-under is set at 39.5. Like that's another one where it's just like, give me more faith on the Wisconsin Badgers than I already can have. Is that they're supposed to win by 18 points, but yet they don't put up 40
they're going to win on a game-winning field goal.
Right, yeah. Like I'm just over it altogether. Looking ahead more into some week 1 matchups that could be fun. I'm not seeing a whole bunch jumping out to me other than those games that we bring up.
Miami Notre Dame
could be a fun one. Yeah, that's the Sunday game, right? Yeah, I guess
you got South Carolina, Virginia Tech that day too. Might be kind of fun.
Here's another gripe I have. Virginia Tech should always open at home. Like, I just want to hear Enter Sandman first week. Like, football is back when that happens. And I think that that's a crime that they're playing also at they're playing at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta. Like, why? Why are those teams playing at a neutral site game? Let Virginia Tech host week 1 every single year, have a ranked team come in and have that crowd jumping. Like, that would be electric every single time. Do better, NCAA.
Exactly. Any stadium that's got like a big tradition, Michigan should open at home, Penn State should open at home. Like, all these schools just need to open at home just to have that kind of vibe there. That would be awesome. I'd be 100%.
Yeah, and instead we're gonna have jump around with Miami of Ohio.
Woo!
Like, yeah, I'm so tickets as low as $7, Charlie. $7 to go watch
more
that.
expensive than the tickets at the games.
Sorry ass organization right now.
It's awesome. It is Wisconsin Sports Weekend live from the 1250 AM and 105.7 FM The Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. I'm Charlie Uczen. That is Tommy Wortz over there. We were just discussing college football kicking off today and what we are most excited about, expectations for this Badgers team. Let us know what you're most excited about with this college football season getting underway here. You can hit us up on the Nicolay Law Fan Talking text line, 414-677-1250. Again, that's 414-677-1250, 1250. When we come back, it will be time to head over to Mount Pixmore, where we did all right this week, but we're still not perfect. When we come back, it'll be Wisconsin Sports Weekend. I'm a weirdo. I was a little early on that. That's all right. It is Wisconsin Sports Weekend live from the 12:50 a.m. and 105.7 FM, the Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. I am Charlie Uczen. Got my guy Tommy Wortz on the other side of the glass there. If you guys are just tuning into the show here, do not worry. You can head back on your free Odyssey app and you can rewind on there, hear any of the segments that you may have missed leading up to this point here in the show. In the first segment of the show, we talked about the Brewers taking on the Giants and beating them pretty handedly against the Giants last night. Not handedly, but William Contreras came in and finished the job for him. Willie Adames was phenomenal in that game as well. Maybe not for the Brewers, but it was still fun to see Willie come back. At 9:20, we talked about the Green Bay Packers taking on the Seattle Seahawks later this afternoon and what the biggest takeaways have been for us this offseason so far for this Green Bay Packers team. We also talked about Micah Parsons and the odds he gets traded at some point here and whether or not the Packers are going to be in on that. And then last segment, we talked about college football kicking off today. Now we move on over to Mount Pixmore. If you guys are brand new to Wisconsin Sports Weekend and do not know about Mount Pixmore, do not worry. I will explain it to you real quick here. So every weekend, Jack and I both pick two players from Prize Picks. We pick a player and a different prop, and we put those two players on our mountain. Depending on how they do each weekend, we come back, check out the mountains, see where they're at. If a player hits, if he goes and has more than 19.5 rushing yards, then we keep him on the mountain or we keep that prop on the mountain of rushing yards. If he fails to get 19.5, let's say in this situation, then we take him off the mountain completely and we put in somebody new there in his place. So this past weekend, Jack had A.J. Dillon of Philadelphia with less than 19.5 rushing yards in that preseason game. He ended up with 7 rushing yards, so Jack hit on that one real nice. Ty Chandler of Minnesota, he had with more than 19.5 rushing yards, though, and Ty Chandler did not hit. He only had 12 rushing yards in that game, so Ty Chandler gets removed from the mountain here. On my side of things, I had Teddy Bridgewater, quarterback for Tampa Bay, with more than 48.5 passing yards. He had 85. I also had Stetson Bennett, somebody that I just love. I cannot get away from Stetson Bennett.
So random.
This is really one of the most random players on the face of the earth, but I just love Stetson Bennett. With more than 170.5 passing yards, he had 324 last week for his Los Angeles. Crazy stat line. Just a stud. Honestly. Matthew Stafford, you're done, dude. Get out of here.
Yeah.
Back's broken. Stetson Bennett's got it.
You know he can lead into a championship. He did it multiple times. Yeah.
Easy. So if we head over to this new mountain that we're going to have, my guy Tommy Wortz has 2 picks of his own to replace Jack's on the mountain there. Tommy, let's start off with your picks here. Who do you have on your half of the mountain?
I'll take a Packer today to make things interesting, to keep pace with the rushing yards like we had with Jack's picks last week. I'm going to take Israel Abanikanda to get over 18.5 rushing yards today. I think that it's the preseason week 3 game. This is a showcase game for a lot of guys who are going to be competing for roster spots on other teams, practice squad opportunities with their current teams. And I'll take Izzy over 18.5 rushing yards on my first one.
I really like that one. I think he's one of those guys that I think has been getting a few highlights from the Packers so far this offseason. You know, there's usually those 3 to 4 players who aren't going to be everyday players who may not even make the roster, but it just seems like they get a little bit of that social media coverage from everybody, from the Packers themselves. He feels like he's been that guy so far, and he's made some really good moments out of the opportunities that they're giving him. He's going to get a ton of opportunities on this game today, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Who do you got next on your side of the mountain there?
In honor of college football, I'm going to go with a college football stud from a couple of years ago, Ollie Gordon on Miami, 29.5. I'll take his over as well. Just a big run on Ollie Gordon. That's all we're looking for. I think that he can get to 29.5 today. I think he's going to get significant playing time. You got week 3 guys in preseason, so it's going to be empty out the bench. Ollie Gordon gets his shot today with Miami.
With Miami and their history with running backs here, where they just cannot stay healthy, cannot stay on the field, is Ollie Gordon a guy that you can see maybe getting some run this season, maybe for Miami, maybe for a different team? He seems like somebody that just has that kind of pedigree to him from his college years that could transfer over to the NFL. Just nobody's really giving him that shot.
Yeah. As of right now, Miami has Devon Achane and Jalen Wright both listed as questionable on their depth charts. So I do think they're going to give Ollie Gordon a lot of run in this game and then see what happens as well from there. I think he has an opportunity. He was very successful 2 years ago in college football, had a lot of high expectations this past year, and really was underwhelming during that stint too. But he's one of the youngest guys in the league. If you would have told me Ollie Gordon 2 years ago was going to be a 6th round pick, I would not have believed you.
He was like projected top player in the NCAA last season before.
So I kind of take it as, the Derek Stingley approach, right? Derek Stingley came into college football and was awesome, was so good as a freshman, and was really could have been a top pick if he was eligible for the draft. And then kind of fell off a little bit and then ended up working his way back. But again, just a couple of underwhelming seasons from him. And then he really just broke out and became a great NFL player from there because they saw it at the collegiate level and he kind of just coasted the rest of the way till he got to the NFL. I think Ollie Gordon could be in that contention as well. Do you know that Quinn Ewers is also on the Miami Dolphins?
I did know that.
Wow. Yeah, did not know that.
Pretty nuts. I thought that was an interesting pick when they got it. But again, kind of like Ollie Gordon, he feels like a player that has that college experience, and they have a quarterback in Tua Tagovailoa who just cannot stay healthy. So what do you want to step up next? I would rather have a guy like Quinn Ewers step up in this spot. I know he hasn't been that phenomenal in college.
Well, it's going to be Zach Wilson, Charlie. So don't forget. It's
not going to be Zach Wilson, dude.
He could. I think he's going to be a guy who has a job for a long time because of one throw as well, like Anthony Richardson did. So also hate that Zach Wilson is number 0.
Yeah, that's dumb.
That is, you do not want your starting quarterback to be number 0.
You can't start him then. If Tua gets hurt, you have to
change your number, dog. Number 0 at the quarterback position just does not play. That will not play. I'm
surprised that's even allowed.
Yeah, my quarterback can't be number 0. Right. I want my corner to be number 0, or
I kind of like when the DNs wear number 0.
Yeah, maybe that could work. But as far as quarterback, no, you can't be number 0 if you're the quarterback.
All right, so on Tommy's side of the mountain, he had Izzy
Israel Abanikanda.
I've been trying to practice it. I still cannot get
Abanikanda don't want none unless you got buns, son.
That was pretty smooth. I like that. He had Izzy with more than 18.5 rushing yards, and also Ollie Gordon out in Miami with more than 29.5 rushing yards. On my side of the mountain, I'm going to stick with one of the guys that I had last week, Teddy Bridgewater. Teddy Two Gloves, my guy, out in Tampa Bay. He's projected a little bit more this week. I have him with more than 69.5 passing yards. I think he can definitely do that, especially if they give him a decent amount of run in this game, which I do expect them to give him about a half. In this one, kind of like we were talking about with Malik Willis, feels like he just kind of needs to get that run, keep some of these other guys. He's locked in that backup quarterback spot. I don't think they give him that contract unless he has. So that kind of makes sense to me. My other pick here, I am not going with my sweet prince, Stetson Bennett. I know I've talked about it, how much I love him. But I think that this week, he's probably not going to get as much run. I think he's kind of solidified himself as that backup quarterback there since they've been playing him the entire preseason games at this point. I'm actually going to switch on over to a different quarterback, Sam Hartman out in Washington, a guy that I think a lot of people were hoping could get a little bit more of a run in the NFL at some point here.
Grown man.
I think he's going to make a career out of being a backup. I think it's pretty good. I mean, sitting behind Jaden Daniels, if you can get, like we were talking about before, again, with Malik Willis, a Tyson Bagent contract, I think Sam Hartman's a guy that's just kind of finds a way to stick around with Washington for a while now. I have him with more than 91.5 passing yards in this game for Washington. If we run back through the mountain here, again, Izzy Abanikanda. Did I say it better that time?
Abanikanda.
God, I'm going to get there at some point. More than 18.5 rushing yards. He also had Ollie Gordon with more than 29.5 rushing yards. Teddy Bridgewater of Tampa Bay with more than 69.5 passing yards. And Sam Hartman of Washington with more than 91.5 passing yards. If you guys feel like you got better picks, if you feel like you wanted to just give us a whole new lineup, if you want to tell us we did a really good job, I'll take that too. Like that'd be nice. You can hit us up at the Fan Milwaukee on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and live streaming on YouTube, where we can see all your comments on there. So if you want to react to us on there, you can also hit us up on the Nicolay Law Fan Talk and Text line, 414-677-1250. And it's 414-677-1250, to get in on the show here. When we come back after this next break, we're going to head over to the Wisconsin Sports Weekend Pub Crawl, where me and Tommy run through all the things you may have missed in Wisconsin sports and just the sports world, sometimes something beyond sports. We'll get into it next when we get ready to crawl.
Did we miss anything during the show? Maybe we didn't. It's time for the Wisconsin Sports Weekend Pub Crawl with Charlie Uczen and Tommy Wortz.
It is time for the Wisconsin Sports Weekend Pub Crawl, like the big voice lady just said. I am Charlie Uczen. That is Tommy Wortz on the other side of the glass there. And it is Wisconsin Sports Weekend live from the 1250 AM and 105.7 FM, the Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. If you guys are brand new to the Wisconsin Sports Weekend show and to Wisconsin Sports Weekend Pub Crawl, do not worry. I'll break it down real quick for you. We are just running through everything that you may have missed from the Wisconsin sports world, the regular sports world, and maybe even outside of the sports world if we found some big news that we wanted to share with you guys. We're going to go back and forth. Me first, Tommy second, and we'll keep going like that until we run out of topics here for the Wisconsin Sports Weekend Pub Crawl. To start off with the pub crawl over here, I think it's Jonathan is how you're really supposed to say it. Garcia, the password for Boston Red Sox, is getting called up. He's their number 3 prospect. He's going to be playing third base potentially for them. Here's kind of where they're looking at. The reason I wanted to bring this up here, not only is he one of the best young players in baseball right now, but he has the nickname, like I mentioned before, the password, which I think is awesome. What's also awesome about it is that his younger brother, who is a catcher in the Boston Red Sox organization, also has a first name that's just as hard to spell, and he is called the Username. So there's, as a duo, it's just awesome. Tommy, I wanted to ask, is that probably the best nickname in baseball right now, just based off of the way you spell his name?
I mean, I can understand why you go that direction for it. Yeah. I'll just say yes. It is the best nickname in baseball right now because the password that's elite. Everyone has a password they can just never remember, right?
I think the amount of times when I was typing up that on the rundown here that I had to look over and see how to spell his name and then retype how to do it was astronomical at this point. Tommy, up first on the pub crawl for you over there.
Yeah, we're going to actually talk a little footy, a little soccer here. It's Wrexham, though, with how Rob McElhenney is an owner of Wrexham with Ryan Reynolds as well, allowing Sheffield Wednesday fans to bring in a banner to Saturday's game calling for their owner to sell the team of Sheffield Wednesday. Taking some backlash here, like they say there might be some political undertones with it, but allowing the visiting opponents to bring in a flag saying fire the owner of our team, sell the team. I think that's what sports is all about. I think you should just allow that, absolutely. If you want to be unhappy with how things are going in your teams, you don't get to necessarily make any decisions that matter at all. So why can't you speak your mind on it? Shout out to Wrexham for that.
Right. That's awesome. I think when teams and fans go to support their teams, their goal is to get away from their normal lives most of the time. You're looking to be mad, be happy with whatever's happening on the field, because then you don't have to be mad or be happy about the things that are happening in your normal life. And I think to allow the fans to have that type of freedom and be able to express themselves that way in a way that isn't, really detrimental to anybody at that point besides the millionaires that are owning these teams, I think that's extremely fair to allow them to just do what they want at this point, as long as it's within reason at this. And a lot of teams just aren't allowing that. It doesn't really make sense to me.
Yes, I agree.
All right, next up on the pub crawl here on my side of things, we're going to head over to the Milwaukee Brewers, where Paul Molitor, Brewers legend, is celebrating his 69th birthday. That was yesterday with that win for the Milwaukee Brewers. If you guys don't know too much about Paul Molitor, do not worry. The Brewers legend is one of 7 players with at least 500 steals and 3,000 hits, with his 3,300 career hits ranking him 11th all time. He is a Brewers legend. He's right up there probably with Robin Yount and Bob Uecker on that Brewers Mount Rushmore in my mind. So happy belated birthday to our guy, Paul Molitor, number 69 there for him.
Yeah, shout out, Paul. I have a list here now for my next one. This comes from Joel Klatt, the top traditions in college football. Now, he listed Wisconsin's jump around at number 1, Charlie. Favorite college tradition for nostalgic reasons. Both of his parents went to the University of Wisconsin and met there as well. His grandfather was actually one of the vice presidents at the university in the 60s. So maybe a little bias on the list. Has a newer tradition listed at number 2 with the Hawkeye Wave, right? I don't know if that's new necessarily anymore. They've been doing it for a little bit ever since that got the hospital was built next to that stadium. Ralphie's Run, Colorado, number 3. Enter Sandman at number 4. Penn State Whiteout at number 5. That's the top 5 right now, according to him. Any schools off the list, in your opinion, that you think should be there?
That's a really tough one. I think he named probably my top 5. Penn State Whiteout is my number 1.
Okay.
That's always been my dream as a kid, to be one of the players on the field for the Penn State Whiteout and just have be in that energy, in that vibe. I mean, just looking around the rest of college football, the Miami Hurricanes made the turnover chain a thing. That was just immediately one of the things that just exploded across not just football, but all sports. People started having these props on the sideline to kind of determine what it was going to be. The only problem with that one, though, and that's probably why it's not on the list, is Miami doesn't do the turnover chain anymore. They do turnover knuckles and all these other weird things. The turnover chain was so cool when they first did it. They should have just kept it.
Yeah, I mean, Enter Sandman's number 1.
Yeah,
that one just bangs every time. If Virginia Tech was a little better at football, they would be number 1. That would be no doubt in my mind.
West Virginia Country Roads.
That one's all right too. That one's not bad. But when they play Pitt every year, that's always a good one, right? That's one of those sneaky rivalries. Dotting the I, Ohio State was number 9 on his list too. But that school, no, don't want to root for them.
That's another good one. I would say, dotting the I, the bands just at Ohio State, all the different things that they do. The band at Wisconsin probably deserves a little bit more love. I think, what is it, Hey Baby that they play all the time? I mean, that's probably a pretty good one that you could put up there. I also know a lot of teams play that.
Buttercup, is actually very underrated for a tradition also at Wisconsin when they sing that throughout that one goes hard too once that happens, opening kickoff too.
Definitely really cool. All traditions in college football, that's one of my favorite things about college sports is that you have those traditions that not really a lot of other organizations beyond college sports have. All right, next up here on the pub crawl, I wanted to head to the NFL, where on that side of things, NFL officiating rules analyst Walt Anderson said on Thursday, unsportsmanlike gestures like simulating or either shooting a weapon or brandishing a weapon, or inappropriate gestures like a throat slash or unfortunate gestures of other kinds, those were up 133% in the NFL last season. So call anything that's kind of obscene, the NFL was noticing a huge rise in. He says the officials have made it a point of emphasis to the clubs. It's just one of those areas that the league wants to work actively on. There are plenty of ways for players to be able to celebrate, and they come up with some very unique and often entertaining ways. So we want them to focus on those and not the inappropriate areas. Tommy, do you feel like you were seeing more inappropriate celebrations in the NFL this past year than in the 3 years prior to that when they opened up the celebration rules again?
Yeah, probably, I guess. Just insane that it's going, that's how this is going now. But yeah, I guess let's crack down on it, right? I mean, football's kind of been getting into a state where everyone takes it way more seriously now at this point. So let's just not make it, celebrating by shooting people, please. That would be awesome.
Yeah, I think that's pretty fair. I think that's an understanding that I think most of these players should have at this point. I think, again, they opened up the celebration rules so much for these teams about 5 years ago that the fact that you take it that far just seems kind of unnecessary. And the fact that the NFL has to kind of come back on it is a little strange, too. At the same time, it's also just a celebration. I don't know how many of these celebrations are really resulting in any kind of wrongdoing happening off the field as well. I don't think people are watching Drake London fire shots into the crowd with his air, whatever he's doing there, and are immediately going, yeah, I want to do that too with a real one. That doesn't make any sense to me at this point. So I think the NFL maybe is being a little too precautious on this. At the same time, I do understand where they're coming from on that. Tommy, what do you got up next on the pub crawl?
Little League World Series home run derby. Did you see a little bit of this? DJ Mises hit 16 home runs, won the Little League World Series home run derby. And Emma Lindhe won the Little League World Series softball home run derby as well. Have they done this in the past? I feel like I don't remember this at all at the Little League World Series.
I feel like I don't either, but at the same time, when I think about these youth tournaments, I feel like I've always seen the youth dunk contest that they do with the high school players whenever they let them do that.
Sure,
I feel like it would just make sense to have a home run derby at the Little League World Series, to have these kids have that moment to have some fun like that.
Yeah, he hit 16 homers in the final round. Took down Cameron Malone. Give him his credit where credit's due. He's a hoss for sure as well. DJ Mises. So give him some love there. The League World Series. I've probably been a little bit out of tune on it more than I have in years past, but I think if it's the inaugural, I don't remember it before. That's awesome to be the first kid to win the Little League World Series home run derby.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool to have your name on that title. I don't know. I shared this video with you before. If you guys want to go on Twitter, there's a video of a guy just getting absolutely domed by a baseball.
Just wrecked.
And it was, I hope he's okay. I'm going to preface this with that. I hope he's all right. He's doing fine. It didn't look like he took too hard of a fall there. But also, you need to go see it. It's just crazy, how perfectly this just dongs the guy in the head.
Had no idea the ball was coming, and yet it just hit him right in the face. Right. I mean, he did not move at all. It wasn't like he was not paying attention. It just, he thought, no way the ball's about to hit me, and then it just hit him right in the face.
Right. It was pretty kind of hilarious.
It was awesome.
Last up on my side of the pub crawl here, we're going to stay within the state of Wisconsin. Last night, I went to a high school football game. I saw my alma mater, Brookfield Central, take on DeForest. My sister's fiance is coaching at DeForest, so we wanted to go support him while also supporting my former team. If you guys have the opportunity, go out and watch some high school football. Go out and watch some high school sports in your area, no matter if it's football, whether it's soccer, basketball season's coming up here. whatever you loved and you wanted to watch, go support these kids and them chasing their dreams at the high school level. It's usually super cheap to go to these games. At BC, it was like $2 for a hot dog. So if you want super cheap food too, that's like not at other stadiums. Go out, go watch some high school sports, go watch some high school football. Should be a lot of good high school football this year in the state of Wisconsin, it seems like.
Yeah, and I'll bring that up with my alma mater, Cudahy, yesterday, back in high school football action as well. They lost 30-6 to St. Thomas More, which, man, like, I know we stunk when I was in school, but it was like, thank God we get to play Thomas More at least, so we can go 1-8 instead of 0-9. And even that now falling, it feels like, for the place. So I'm actually on a PSA here to just come on. Like, this is just ridiculous what happens with Cudahy football. It's been bad for so long now, and it used to be just a perennial powerhouse in the state, a ways ago now, like 30 years ago. But the team is just atrocious, always to watch. I'll make it to one game this year, but I was actually banking on, okay, they'll be 1-0 by the time I go see them play. Me and our good buddy Tom Hecker, who works here as well, another Cudahy guy, we're talking about it yesterday. I knew they were going to go play Thomas More, and he was like trying to say, well, I get to one game a year, and he was going to go yesterday because he wanted to see, well, maybe they get the win when I go watch them. Not the case against Thomas More.
That's a little unfortunate. Not to rub it in your face, BC 136-13 over DeForest. It was a little bit of a beatdown. We got a really good young quarterback.
If BC plays Cudahy, it's 45-0 at half.
You think?
At half.
All right.
I really like.
We'll have to set it up.
I have been down. Like, I remember my senior year against Whitnall. I think we were down 42-0 in the first quarter. That's and then I think they pumped the brakes. From there, running clock was like our best friend always at Cudahy.
Best of luck to the Cudahy football team for the rest of the season.
That's a little rough. They need it.
What do you got up last year on the pub crawl, Tom?
Oh, that was my last one here on the pub crawl. But also another one that I wanted to bring up here, though, is that WSN, the Wisconsin Sports Network, sounds like it's kind of disbanding right now if you are going to keep track of a lot of this stuff, and it's going to be transitioning over to Bound, Bound, to keep up with high school sports. Our guy Travis Wilson, who we had on this show after the state championships last year, was kind of the head of WSN, and he is now moving over to Bound and trying to grow that platform from a Wisconsin standpoint. Max Prep's taking over a lot as well, but WIAA and football trying to make the jump over to Bound as well to get some scores. Update your teams, update your rosters, update your scores, help it out, because learning about high school sports, filling it in the communities, definitely an important part, I think, as well, of growing the game too.
100%. All right, there you have it. That will do it for today's edition of the Wisconsin Sports Weekend Pub Crawl. If you think we missed anything, feel free to hit us up on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and let us know any of the big stories that you saw this week that we may have missed and you may want to share with us. We can talk about it later on in the week on any of our amazing shows here on The Fan. Pack-A-Day Radio Show during the week from 8 to 9 a.m. with Andy Herman. You got the Mason Crosby Show with Mitch Thunder Nellis from 9 to 11 here on The Fan. And then from 2 to 5 every weekday, you got Wisconsin Sports Daily with Sparky Pfeiffer. You also have, before every Brewers game, the leadoff show powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook, hosted by this very own Tommy Wortz over here. The Crew takes down San Francisco on Wild Bill's first career walk-off homer last night, despite Willie Adames doing his best to play spoiler in his homecoming. Join Tommy Worth tonight at 5 for the leadoff show powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook, where he breaks down everything you may have missed from last night's game and gives you all the information you need to know before today's game. Tommy, anything interesting that you got lined up for the leadoff show here?
Leadoff show should be a good one. We're going to talk a lot about Wild Bill. Luis almost going to jump on all weekend as well. Get you some of the best bets if you want to get any action over at the Potawatomi Sportsbook. They got shuttles running now as well to all home games. Make sure you guys check those out. All you got to do is place a $5 bet. Spend some money in the sports book, and they'll get you a free shuttle ride. And then if you come back on it, they get you free play as well. Drew Wagner will join the program as well 20 minutes before first pitch to talk about the epic first night of the Bob Uecker Celebration of Life weekend with the walk-off homer from William Contreras.
that will do it for Wisconsin Sports Weekend today. Tommy, thank you so much for filling in for my guy, Jack. You have been awesome as always.
Yeah, thanks, big dog.
Of course, no problem. Next week, Jack will be back here on Wisconsin Sports Weekend with myself. We'll have another great show for you guys. Until then, have a great rest of your weekend, folks.